Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to Coast series in American Truck Simulator. So I'm going to go ahead and take this load, partially because it's hazmat, and partially because it just takes me down in this direction. Alright, so this one has a little bit of urgency, but nothing terrible. So because I know I'm getting close to where I need to rest, but I have about 3 hours to pick this thing up. So I'm going to go pick it up first, and then likely shortly we'll have to rest. I don't have my sim dashboard, so I'm kind of going a little blind about how long I can wait and so forth. Alright, let me see. I don't remember. I don't think it's in BNSF. It isn't. Okay, so I need to go to Chevron. Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to get one of those where I pull out and then it tells me turn right. That's not what I thought. I thought Chevron was down the road ahead of me, but maybe that's Centex. Those are Centex homes. So there were several choices. Some of them were longer. But yeah, the reason I took this job, I mean, it's right up there other than a special transport, and the most lucrative one I can take per mile. Alright, so yeah, I'm already yawning. So my concern is I'm wondering if I can if I can rest twice, because if I rest now it's going to be like 2 a.m. So I'm going to see if I can figure that out when I get there and when the delivery is expected. Because if I can, I'd like to drive more in daylight, but it is an important delivery, so it's not entirely without a rush, but usually the important deliveries are fast, are long enough that you've got some time. I think I'm clear of the train tracks. Well, I guess we're going to find out. Yeah, so that was close, but I don't know why the gate. I wonder if the gates aren't going down because I'm there. Alright, so I want to go to the left. Alright. And that should then take us across. We'll go underneath and we'll be good. Oh, wow, it's only 15? Well, it's going to be 40 right here. I don't think I've ever seen a speed limit that slow. Wow. That's like playing Train Simulator and going down a siding or something. But, so yeah, I've talked at times that, I'm part of a VTC, a virtual trucking company in in Truck Simulator, because it works for American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck. I'm part of Viva Trucking, and I'm in the hazmat division. So hazmat jobs always have an affinity for me because I like hazmat, which is why I picked that division. And I get some bonuses for doing those kind of jobs, and they're just more fun because you're hauling things that are a little dangerous, and who doesn't like a little danger in their life, right? So that was one reason. But the other reason, maybe we'll call it fate, whatever. The jobs we've had from coming from Seattle have just slowly made sense to not have really long jobs. Whoops. to not have really long jobs. They just kind of kept moving us this way. And so this one came up. There were some others that I could have picked that were about the same length, or maybe getting into the 400 range, which is fine. I mean, I think jobs even up to 500 or 600 miles are reasonable to not make super long episodes for this part of the series. And so I could have taken others, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to then start traveling around in Mexico. And I talked about that in the beginning when I was doing really long jobs. That I had no issue with Mexico as far as the quality of the maps. I thought they were great. I just, didn't want 3,000-mile jobs anymore, because they just take a long time. And again, I'm sure I'll take some of those once in a while. Trying to figure out which way it's facing. I think it's this way. I mean, I guess if I'm in the wrong direction, I'll just go around another way, but I think I want to go this way. So let's see. Yep. All right. Or wait, is it? Oh, it's that one. All right. Well, no big deal. Like I said, I'll just go around if it's the wrong direction. And it is, because it's just me. It's kind of how I do things. I always make the long decision, just like I did, 2 episodes ago, where I added 150, 200 miles to my delivery because I was so excited I could rest without incurring a penalty that I ended up almost incurring a penalty because I made an urgent delivery too late. Speaking of penalties, I'm going to get another one here if I don't pick this up and find somewhere to rest. So that'll be the first thing we'll do once we connect up here, is peek at the map and see what my options are. Alright, so yeah, we'll just drive right by it, so that'll be good. I don't think I need gas. Alright, so what I can't see here though is when they expect me. So I'm going to go ahead because I just don't want to drive in the middle of the night, and I'm going to assume that I have enough time to rest for 20 hours straight. Which will get me to something a little bit more realistic. And so let's get there, and instead of starting the conversation about Mexico, and I'll rest and then we'll talk about that. So we pull out of here, and yes, hopefully we don't start having a thing about, oh no, we need you, because that 8 hours is that's my drive time that it's telling me on the map. So that's not telling me when they want me there. So taking a bit of a chance. We'll see if I can find some info on it once I get there and I'm ready to rest, or at least have rested once. How about that? Because I have to do that no matter what. So we're hauling dynamite. We've definitely done that before. It's pretty common. It's, I think, one of the more common loads in ATS from the hazmat perspective. Getting others is more challenging. Alright, I don't think I want to try to get in the motel. I guess this is all motels. Oh no, it's not. There's a gas station. Because I'm like, I know there's gas nearby somewhere, and then... But yeah, we got plenty of gas, so I'll pull through the pumps just because it's easier. But yeah, I'm getting that black circle view that then pretty quickly goes into dozing mode. So alright, so sadly it looks like I did find a way I could see it. So you can see they're expecting me in basically the next 8 hours. So if I sleep, I'm already in the window. So unfortunately, we're going to have to drive, because I can't, like I'd be late. You know, we know on the map it said it was 8 hours. So if it was a regular job, you know, I might have had the possibility, but it's not what it is. So the life of a trucker, this is how it works sometimes. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's 3:30 in the morning, so it's not like it, I mean, it'll be light, start getting light in a couple hours, and it's not like driving at night is terrible. I mean, there's still things you can see, you just can't see that far out. Alright. So, we know we need to go, I think, oh, okay, we're immediately just turning and getting on the highway. So, if I can turn in this cycle, that would be good, because then that will let me get to this turn light here and hit the arrow when it's time. But I'm glad I found a way to look at it, because like I said, I have that mod that, you know, kind of streamlines some of the stuff around, but obviously it eliminates information around the GPS box. So let me get on the highway here. These guys are, alright, you are supposed to yield, so I'm expecting you to wait for me. Alright, so we're going on 40 west. After that, it should be a little bit easier. Alright, so we're going to head over this way, and we'll get going. So, alright, so talking about the Mexico piece, there's a lot down there. You know, when we look at the map next time and try to find a job and hopefully find something heading in that direction, the whole central section I really haven't driven much of, other than down one main road. So there's all kinds of places to explore down there that I haven't been to. If I'm doing it in short stretches, which, you know, again means I'm not going to be making a lot of money or a lot of experience, but because we know the speed limits and things are so small, you know, I may really target really tiny jobs down there, knowing that they're still probably going to take 30 or 40 minutes to do anyway. But it gives me an opportunity to explore a map expansion that, you know, is part of why I was doing this series, because, you know, we've spent several episodes now in the standard SCS maps, which, you know, starts to make this series really no different than anything else you can see. If, you know, someone's not doing any additional maps. So I want to kind of get into areas of the map that are outside the base, but I'd also like to not just be spending a bunch of time in the coast-to-coast map that doesn't have a lot of scenery. Now again, Midwest expansion is pretty good, so we've got areas there, but yeah, we'll definitely move around, but I'm thinking this may be a sign of it's time to do a little bit in Mexico. And again, maybe we'll find nothing when we go there, so we'll have to see how everything ends up. So, glad I don't have to pull in. I can finally discover that piece of the road. And a lot of times that's the benefit of driving at night. Sometimes you tend to get more pass-throughs on the way stations than you do during the day. So again, about 300-ish, 300 to 400 miles. So this will be similar in distance to what I've been doing for the last few. So yeah, what could mess things up is we just might not be able to find any viable jobs. Because what I don't want to do is take some extremely long jobs into Mexico. Like, I don't want to run all the way to the bottom and then run all the way back up. I mean, the goal would be at that point to just take some small runs so that I can do that. But we'll see what that brings. So the other piece I was talking about last episode was, you know, the fact that I do in fact like look when other sims come out or are available, you know, or things that might be of interest. You know, I'm checking things out periodically. You know, and all that may mean is I'm just you know, reading about it and deciding, yeah, this just isn't for me. So one thing that I guess would be a sim that I did try because it was very inexpensive, it cost me $4 to try it, was a hunting sim. And I'm not a big hunter. You know, I don't hunt at all. I shouldn't say I'm not a big hunter. It's just not something that is terribly interesting to me, although I do enjoy, you know, like target practice games, things like that. So I was like, well, you know, let me give it a shot. It's inexpensive enough. It's not really something that has held my attention. I've spent probably 6 or 7 hours really giving it the good old college try. But it's just walking around in vegetation, and then even when you're doing something, you're literally doing the same thing. You're tracking the animals, you're finding them, you're, you know, trying to line up a shot and trying to take them down, and, you know, it wouldn't have made a whole lot of interesting video, I don't think, and certainly not from me, who's not at all interested in it. So that was the most recent thing. You know, and then I've examined things like, you know, I've seen them come up kind of really I would say the really niche sims. So there's Lawnmower Simulator, for example, that some people, you know, I mean, you read the comments on it and people say it's incredible, but they're all excited about the landscaping equipment and the lawnmowers, and I have tried a demo of that, and while it's fun for a little while, again, it's certainly not, I think, something that's going to be incredibly fun for me for any length of time, and probably not something that would be relevant or useful for YouTube more than like, hey, here's me doing this, and now you can see what gameplay looks like. But once you see it, you've kind of seen it. And similarly, I've tried demos of Car Mechanic Simulator. Too repetitive. Not a great interface, I don't think. So once again, while I have a little more interest, I've done my own car work, you know, and so certainly it'd be intriguing just like, hey, I understand the basics of farming, I understand the basics of trucking, but like I'm never going to get to do that job in real life, so this is my opportunity. I don't know that it would get into enough detail to make me feel like, wow, I'm really getting this experience, and this is interesting, the way that Truck Simulator and Farming Simulator do, where you're kind of doing the thing well enough that it feels truly like you're, it can be immersive. It's just too much of that pop-up round interface thing. And so similarly, a new one that has just come out that some people are getting excited about is Construction Simulator. And while the graphics look really good, I've watched some people who have done some videos on it, first look videos and stuff, because they don't have a demo on that. And so I'm definitely not one that I'm going to spend $20 or $30 on something to give it a try. If I was to do it, I would watch some videos and say, yeah, this looks interesting enough to me that I think it's worth proceeding. And that's just not done it for me yet. It could change. I've just started looking at some videos people made on it, and again, it's intriguing, but I'm just not sure. Then there's another one that I saw recently, which was Electrician Simulator, which has you being an electrician, where you'd be literally fixing electricity in buildings, but then you're also doing things like fixing game controllers and things. And once again, maybe interesting, but probably not YouTubeable. And it's not something I've gone ahead and spent money on, because I think it's still it's either $20 or $30. So it's not, to me, those kind of niche things have to be sadly at a price point that they're probably not going to be, because even like Lawn Mowing Simulator I think is $19.99, and I'm like, it's just too much for something so limited. So I've looked at a few things, and those are the ones I recall. I know there's others that have popped up that have been like, they have a simulator for that. Like I think there's Car Wash Simulator or Gas Station Simulator, where you're running a gas station, or you're running Car Wash Empire, and you're basically like picking different car washes, I guess, putting them in different locations. I suppose if you're super interested in that kind of stuff, there's people that will buy it, but it's just not me. So that's kind of where I've been at. So on the sim front, but I wanted to share just because it's something I'm always looking at, always willing to say, hey, what's the next great thing? Because honestly, as I've shared, Farming Simulator was one of those that kind of smacked me right between the eyes unexpectedly, where it got down cheap enough at the end of FS19. I think it was the last year, and they had lowered it to 20, and I had held out even at that point probably for 6 months. Like, they either need to have it on sale or give me a demo like American Truck Simulator did, so that I can really verify that this is something that I want to do. And they didn't, and I don't remember what exactly finally got me to say, all right, I think it was certainly just the reviews and people saying it was great. And I did watch videos. I think I watched a bunch of Daggerwind stuff, I think, is who I had seen that a lot of people had recommended, and I'm like, this looks interesting enough, I'd like to give it a shot. And then when I did, I think 5 hours in to the game, similar to what I spent in the hunting game, like I knew, like, all right, I love this. This is really fun for me. But like I said, a little extra time than that. And even getting to the 5 to 7 hours that I put into the, it's Hunter Call of the Wild is the one that I was trying. Oh, and then obviously the big one, but I think I shared that I had looked at this, was Microsoft Flight Simulator. And that I did because at one point I got a 3-month free trial of the Xbox Game Pass that you can run on the PC as well. It might have been the PC Game Pass, but it's, both Xbox games that are ported over and stuff. And so Flight Simulator was one of those. So I had 3 months to kind of poke around with it. Probably again spent, since it's not through Steam, it doesn't give me a time. But I might have put 10 to 20 hours into that, because that is something that has always been intriguing to me. I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator has always kind of called to me a little bit, like this would be cool, like if I could learn to do it. And part of it is I've heard people are like, oh, I was able to fly a plane really easily just because of what I did in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I knew it was realistic, and that's another one. Like, I'm never going to be a pilot in a job at this point. Like, that time has come and gone if I was ever going to do it. But because there's no goal and it's just open-ended, that one again turned into nothing. And part of it is also because it's never heavily discounted. I think this week on Steam I saw it went, instead of being $59, it's $47. But to me that's still a full price game, because there's a lot of games that are $49.99 instead of $59.99 when they're full price. So it's like, it might be more interesting if it goes to half price at least. Because the One Piece I never got to explore because I realized it would take a ton of time, and I was like, I'm not going to do it in the 3-month cycle. Is the kind of playing kind of like the VTCs in American Truck Simulator, where you're playing with other people that are like running air traffic control. And I forget the name of the group, but there's like a major thing that I came across that seems to be like the thing. And they have stuff, and it seemed like if you get involved with groups there, like you could then in essence pick up missions like, hey, we need someone to fly from here to here at this time, and you could basically sign up and say, yeah, I'll pilot that or something, and then you're getting into a virtual world and stuff like that. So that was the only way I think that Flight Simulator would hold any interest for me. And that would be one of those that it would definitely become part of what was occurring pretty regularly, because if I'm that involved in it, either I'd have no content for the channel because I'd be doing that and not covering it, but at least here you've got a little bit of scenery. If somehow I got into that, I don't know that I'd even be able to really talk with you like I'm doing when I do this, because I'd probably have to focus on the air traffic stuff, and it would literally be just watching what I was doing and me explaining in the beginning, like, here's what's going to be happening, and this is what this episode is I'm taking this flight and from here to here. And so while it might be a little more interesting to me, again, I think that's a sim that doesn't lend itself very well to a let's play type thing. And that's really what I like to look for, is like, hey, if I'm spending time doing it, because I don't mind doing tutorials or how-tos. I've certainly done a good amount of those on the channel here. but I just tend to do those when it's like, okay, that I feel I can add something to the conversation that others aren't, because otherwise there's just tons of things out there. And while I've certainly been told on some of the things I've done that, like, a lot of people have searched through what they would call a lot of junk or garbage, and were so happy they came across whatever I did on whatever topic it was, because they thought it was really well done and actually helped them, where others just weren't, didn't do that. Like, it didn't give them what they needed. So, but of all of those, the one that would be the closest to a possibility would be Microsoft Flight Simulator, because that one, at least, there's still some intrigue to me there about, could that make it interesting enough? Because the issue was, like, I had gotten to the point where I could function semi-well. Like, I certainly could take off. I was getting relatively decent at landing. But I was kind of getting to that point where it was like, all right, I really need to commit to focusing time to get good at this, to kind of get to the next level, or I'm just spinning my wheels. And the thing that made it not interesting was there's nothing I'm going for. Like, even though Farming Simulator's kind of open-ended and it's like, hey, just load it up and do what you want, like, I can create a decent reality for myself, of, I'm in this location, I'm going to do this, I'm going to focus on these crops, I'm going to focus on these animals. And yes, I'm creating my own stuff, but literally in Flight Simulator, it was just like, okay, which airports am I gonna, which two airports am I gonna pick to fly from and to? And there was not a why, it was just because. And so obviously, I was flying from local airports that I'm familiar with here, because I know, what they are. But then, it became, okay, well, now if I just fly from here to here, once you're up in the sky, as I said, there's not a lot to look for. So it's not like there's scenery here. There's things to look at. There's other things, I've got to stop at traffic lights. I've got to avoid hitting other cars. Like, if everything's working right in the air, there's no other planes near you. You're just flying. And so it's like the only interesting part, from a video standpoint, is landing and taking off. And otherwise it becomes a tutorial thing, and there's people who are real life pilots that have done some really cool stuff, which is how I learned to do Flight Simulator and do well at it. And I know there's nothing I could do that's better than what I've seen out there. I just don't have the knowledge. So where at least, like, the analysis I do in Farming Simulator, stuff like that, I feel I bring something a little unique to it, and how deep I get into something. And so that's, going back to the one I started talking about, Transport Fever. That's another one of those, like, there are campaigns in there, but they take so long, so they'd again be really, really long videos if they were, Let's Plays and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes they take 2 or 3 hours, especially the further ones, and I'm not through them all, so I don't even know what I'm going to run into. And then kind of the free game is exactly that. It's like you're just doing stuff, but you're just trying to figure out what makes sense. And like I said, that may turn into something. So I guess if there's another one that's a possibility that you may see on the channel here and there, is Transport Fever, because I think that could turn into something, but you know, it wouldn't be a series. It would just be similar to what I did with Rail Route, where it's, okay, I'm doing this timetable map, I'm doing this timetable map. You know, although those were almost still like walkthroughs, because I was like, okay, this is how you get past this. And since they're set up that way, like, there's usually very little alternative that would work. So, but anyway, you know, that at least gave us something to talk about on this route here. I know we've got to be getting really close. Again, we got to be there by 11. But the nice thing, circling all the way back to where I started, is this puts us literally right at the border of Mexico. So, like, we're knocking on the door, and it's like, all right, yep, we're gonna go this way, and we're gonna head south of the border, and we're gonna serve that economy for a while. You know, maybe a long while. I don't know. I mean, to me, I guess that's a little more compelling at this point, because I've driven a lot of these maps a lot. You know, I was looking at, partially just because I was looking at the other sims, how much time I've spent in them. But when I was logging into American Truck Simulator before this run, you know, I'm at 570 hours in there, so I've spent a lot of time. You know, probably not as much as some. You know, I'm sure there's people that have thousands of hours, you know, and it's still, I think, what, a sixth of what I've spent in Farming Simulator, because between FS19 and the time in FS22 now, I'm up to about 3,000 hours in Farming Simulator. So, you know, that is by far the heaviest sim I've done. You know, and that's the thing. I mean, if I wanted to gauge, like, all the sims that I talked to you about, I could not see spending 3,000 hours of my life with them, or even 500. And so to me, that kind of is the indicator of, you know, that's why I haven't jumped into anything else. I mean, that would be what it needs to be, and I just don't know what that would be. I mean, again, Flight Simulator's a big enough world that you could do that, but as I said, because there's no quests, missions, whatever, you know, there's no goal. It's just, here it is, fly. I'm struggling with getting excited about it. So, now I assume we're going to turn left. Alright, did I go the wrong way again? Why is it not telling me? No, alright, so we are. Yeah, because this was the stuff, and again, I think when the maps got redone, here and there we lost some of the connections, but if you remember, this is where we had map crashes and so forth, so hopefully we don't experience any of that when we try to go back to Mexico. But, you know, I've done some of those, and they're usually okay. Wow, there's a big backup on that other ramp. Goodness gracious. Oh, I don't know why I'm moving over. I think I literally get off here. Maybe not.
Go straight on.
Yeah, I think we actually have to get out of town a little bit, so, because I was thinking we got to be getting close, because we're at 340 miles, so, but yeah, I think it's the one down, well, maybe it's, yeah, it's not Nogales, so we're not doing that either, because that's Texas, actually, I think. So we're gonna head this way. Alright, I will do that. But we're heading toward El Paso. I thought I went through the southern end here on this series, but maybe I did not. I'm somewhat surprised I haven't been down here at all. Thought when I was crisscrossing, but I must have come from somewhere more north when I went to LA or San Francisco or whatever it was. Alright, can we really go? So we can. Alright. So we'll speed up a bit, and then it'll be time to exit. That's how it always works. Got some horses. The Cochise County line. It was a famous Indian chief, I believe. Like Geronimo and those others that I can't remember their names. They aren't coming to me right now. Geronimo's the only one. Sitting Bull, stuff like that. But Sitting Bull was up north. Like Geronimo at least was down in this area. But along with Cochise, I assume, obviously. So Sierra Vista is where we're going. So yep, here we go. This is always like these exits, because we're going like 80. It just always feels like we're never gonna stop. Oh yeah, this is the one. I've been here with all that construction at the end. Alright, it just turned green. So I should be okay. It should stay green long enough for me to get through here. There we go. Now we'll see, because yeah, this will speed up. So highway speeds, if we can get to them, but we shouldn't have that much to go. I don't know exactly how I ended up with 400. Maybe it was over 400. Maybe it was between 400 and 500. There was probably a different one that was 300, but I decided to take this one for exactly the reason I shared, that gets me closer to Mexico. And there are a lot of towns just literally right across the border, so I'm not opposed to taking a 50-mile job or something just to get me there, and you know, just do a bunch of those or something and just explore around, get just discover the area down there. So we'll see how it all plays out, but that's where I think we're headed in the series in the near term. So alright, there's the town. I don't remember exactly who our delivery location is for. It's going to be 45 here, so let me slow down. I guess we're going straight because it's not telling me to turn. So we got some weird mountain stuff over there, which is never a good sign. It concerns me. But hopefully, again, it's nothing and we won't suddenly have a crash here or something, because we're headed in that direction. I think it's just what we see sometimes, that they just don't render entirely because we're kind of at that distance that it's just going to do some crazy stuff. But I think I go straight here. because I think we have to like go in a little bit of a roundabout way to get into Mexico. Like if I look at the map now, yeah, so we can go here and then go down, but it looks like, yeah, because Douglas will hit the border, but like this is our only place across. And I don't know if some of those cities right there were added, and that's why we have, you know, where it looks like we went somewhere, but then it ended, because I don't know that we ever didn't cross the border, but, yeah, we'll see. We will find out if it works, and I guess if it doesn't, then we'll punt and say we tried, and we'll go back to a save game up here or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh yeah, BHP Billiton is where we were going. So, well, it says this way, so I guess we'll do what it tells us to do. And I've been in something similar to this, so this is again where I need to figure out where it wants it so that I'm not getting myself stuck. Can I see it? I really can't. Alright, well, it's around the edge. Oh, I see. And from in cab, I thought there might have been a way to like drive up there, but there's really only one way in here, so just finally over there that I can drive up. Alright, I see something, but I don't know what I'm seeing. Oh, I see. I think I need to just back it in right there. Okay. I was like, I see something flashing on the ground, but I can't tell what the orientation is, but now I see it. So we'll just do a quick turnaround, and yeah, this will probably be this will be the lowest opportunity for a score. I'm gonna have to probably futz around a little bit here. I don't think I can get in. Maybe I can. There's more room to maneuver here than I thought. I mean, I thought I was just gonna have to try to get myself fully turned, but this is actually working out quite well. So let me get back here. There we go. Well done, but not hard at all. So, wow, it gave me 90 for that. Interesting. Alright, but we're halfway through level 36, so we are still progressing pretty well, and some of that is just the fact that, we're getting, the skill ranks are up there, we keep getting some bonuses, because otherwise we'd just be dealing with, 680 XP, and we're almost doubling that. Alright, so we've got that. Next time, if all goes according to plan, we'll be heading back into Mexico, and we'll hopefully make that pretty exciting. So I'll see you next time.